welcome to today's podcast as part of the Gender8 project, which aims to empower women to join vocational training. My name is Alina, and I'm one of the partners of the Gender8 project, representing Emphasis Center in Cyprus. Today, I'm here with Mr. Nicolas Moudros to talk about the gender gap in vocational education, while he shares some of his experiences and professional insights on the matter. Nicola, welcome. Thank you for participating in today's episode. Before we begin, could you please just give an introduction about yourself and an overview of what you do?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. My name is Nicolas Moudros, and I have been a STEM educator or STEAM educator for the last 15 years. Just to put it in context, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Sometimes when we start a discussion and we say STEAM, we don't explain. So it was a surprise to me that still some people, they are not aware of what STEAM education is. So in the context of STEAM education, I have taught courses that have to do with robotics, coding, video game design, and through that we teach programming to the students. Also drone coding in order to be able to fly a drone with programming, 3D printing, 3D modeling. So these are just some of the courses that I have taught in my career, and my passion, let's say, lies in making STEAM education accessible to everyone. So this means no matter of the student's background or age or gender.
Perfect. Just to begin more generally, before we get into the core of things, what is gender gap to you? And do you think it does exist in vocational education today?
That's a very good question. So gender gap, in my perspective, is the disparities between genders in some specific fields of education and of workforce. And I am 100% sure that it exists all over the world, not just in our country or in Europe, but globally. And it is something that we need to be aware of and try to change it.
Do you think there's a greater gap in certain fields more than others? And if so, could you give us an example?
Yeah, I mean, when we are talking about vocational education, there are professions that have to do with automotive engineering, electricians, professions that have to do with mechanical engineering. These type of professions are in general more accessible, and we can see there more male people in these professions, where in, let's say, professions such as education or health sector, nursing, we have more females working there.
And what do you think are some factors that cause this gender gap?
That's another very good question. So it's a circle. Yeah. So we start with the society and the stereotypes that a society has. So in these stereotypes, there is a specific path or a place for a woman, and a specific path or a place to work for a man or for a male person. So these are the most important aspects: society, and the role it plays, and also the peers and the family of that direct a person to a specific path.
So you mentioned society and the structure of society. Now, living in Cyprus, a fairly smaller country, do you think that Cypriot culture and Cypriot society enhances this gender gap even more? And if so, can you just give us a couple examples of why you think that?
Cyprus, being a small country, has its benefits, but it has its drawbacks, and one of them is it's this what you have mentioned. We are a small society, a closed society. Being also an island, we were more isolated than the rest of the world. So this patriarchy, it still exists.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely Cyprus has this issue of the gender gap.
And as an educator, how do you think, again, focusing a little bit more on Cyprus, how do you think it affects students, and most specifically women students?
Yeah, because of this, the small society, there is they expect female students to follow a specific path, and they expect the boys to follow a different path, a path that has to do with engineering, a path that has to do with vocational studies, where to young girls they try to direct them to professions that have to do more with education or with nursing, as I mentioned before. So I see this because our students, I have been teaching for students that are 6-7 years old up to 86 years old, and I see this gender gap, and I see that we have more boys coming for the STEAM classes rather than girls.
Is there a specific example or experience that you can share with us? Nothing too personal, but just...
I mean, this last, let's say, academic year, I had the pleasure of having some very bright young girls in my STEAM classes, and there is this one girl that she's very bright. You can see it from the very first time you see her in the classroom that she's a natural scientist, a natural engineer. But I could often see in the classroom the way she was behaving and the way that her fellow students, being mostly boys, were behaving towards her.
Okay.
So maybe she would be working in a group assignment and she would have a very interesting idea. So parentheses, the way we work with STEAM is problem solving.
Okay.
So we give them a problem and the students, they need to find a solution to this problem. So she had very good out of the box ideas, and most of the times, because I don't like to intervene to their discussions, I only choose very specific times to intervene. I want them to discuss. Most of the times, they would, when she explained her idea, the boys, they would say, no.
Dismiss it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you could see that she felt like out of place.
Okay.
This was one example, but we do try to have everyone say their opinion and collectively decide. So that was the point that I intervened, and I asked, okay, let's hear what this student has to say, and they heard, and then we had to discuss even further, and she had to defend her
Herself.
proposal. Yeah, and at the end, they accepted it. So it was a small win for her, and I could see that her self-esteem grew at that point. But this was a case where the educator needed to intervene. Yeah. So this is the difficult part. So for us, the educators, to be ready to assist in situations like this, and also personally, the student to have the power inside to defend their ideas and their proposals. And their way of thinking, and have a place in this world that is unfortunately still a patriarchy.
Yeah. So looking more into the future, how do you envision vocational training and education to look like? And do you have positive hopes you can share with us for the future?
Another very nice question. Yeah, there is room in vocational training for everyone, and technology is the path. So we need to bring different mindsets, different ways of thinking, and by bringing girls into this type of not education, but this type of professions, we can explore and have greater insights, greater ideas, and from these ideas, only good things can come out from it.
Nicola, is there anything else you would like to share with us before we close regarding the gender gap?
Yeah. So the question is what we can do to change this.
Yeah.
And the answer, again, on my perspective, it's that it takes a lot of effort by everyone. So we need to have the society, we need to have educators, we need to have professionals, all working together and setting an example, breaking the stereotypes, giving these young girls that they want to pursue a career in STEAM, giving them role models, and there are role models of women scientists, women entrepreneurs, women in business that they can put glasses, as we say, to us boys or men. So we need to present this to the young girls to empower them and leave them to decide what they want to do in their life. If they want to be an engineer, if they want to be a pilot, if they want to be a teacher, if they want to be a doctor, a computer scientist, they should have equal opportunities with their male counterparts.
That was very insightful. So that's a wrap for today's episode. Just a brief overview. Looking back on our episode, we discussed the gender gap in vocational education, specifically in STEAM, due to Nicolas's profession. And we pinpointed some key factors, which were our cultural and societal structures being a cause of this gender gap. And something important that Nicolas mentioned is the effort from everybody to improve this gender gap and hopefully minimize it as much as possible in the future. Nicola, I would like to thank you again for participating in this podcast with us today and sharing your experiences and your insightful information. And we hope to see a change in the future of vocational education. And for everyone watching, stay tuned for our next episodes of the Gender 8 Project.